Well, good morning and welcome into the Farzy show here at the Steven Singer Studios. What did we talk about yesterday? We talked about seeing an aggressive Ben Simmons and attack the rim Ben Simmons. I didn't expect him to go off for 20 points. If I did, I would have bet the over, which I didn't. But it's good to see that aggression from Ben Simmons to attack the rim. It's what we talked about yesterday. It's a comforting feeling to know that Ben can find that gear. I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade here, because I feel like it's going to go into this category of, oh, come on, well, what do you want the guy to do? Look, I believe Ben Simmons doesn't go into games going, man, I really got to attack the rim today. I believe Ben Simmons goes into games with the number one priority, and this should sound obvious considering we've watched him play every game. When we watch him, I believe he is just trying to see what the defense is giving him. And by him, I mean him as a facilitator before him as a scorer. I think his first priority, the number one thing, is to set up his teammates to score. If he has open lanes, if he's getting a lot of opportunities in transition to score, that's when he will score. And last night, when you're seeing Joel Embiid get doubled, you're seeing a lot of fast breaks, you're seeing a lot of opportunities for him to score in transition. He is going to take advantage of those opportunities. That's what he did last night. Do I think there was a little something extra on it, considering there was so much concentration on, so much attention on the fact that he only had 6 points in game one? Yeah, I think he might have had a little something extra on that, and I think that might go without saying in some instances, and last night would probably be a perfect example of that. But that is the type of Ben Simmons that a lot of people can flock and gravitate to because points were happening. And I'll go back to it. Because some of the casuals only understand points, they'll look at last night's game and be like, wow, Ben had a great game. Correct. Ben had his second great game of the two games that have taken place so far in this series. Both of them have been great games. And here's the part I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. Great. He scored 20-plus points last night. It's amazing to me he did all that while shooting not a single basket, not a single shot more than 7 feet away from the hoop. He did all that and was never once fouled. And that's not a knock on Ben. And that's not a complaint. I even tweeted that out last night, that his 15 shots, all of them within 7 feet, and he was never fouled once. It's not a knock on Ben. It's more of, how the hell is that even possible when you're driving to the lane as much as you are, you're having as much success as you were as Ben Simmons, and the other team doesn't ever decide to foul you, to put you to the line? That's like grade school basketball there, Scotty Brooks. How do you not foul Ben in the act of shooting and put him to the line there when you know he is killing you around the rim? I wanted Ben to go to the line and shoot some free throws. I know he can do this on any given night where he can attack the rim, choose to be aggressive, and he can start just putting up points left and right. And for Ben Simmons, points left and right, which means a 20-point game. But to see him attack the rim and not go to the line is just odd. So he doesn't go to the line last night. That's the only thing that really bothered me about his game one performance, the 0 for 6 from the foul line. And Zoom off, God bless him, even mentioned that during the broadcast last night, just simply saying it's the only thing that bothered him as well, that it was 0 for 6. If you're going to criticize Ben Simmons for anything in game one, it was 0 for 6. We're going to let you hear. I'm going to play some clips for you later in the show regarding Ben Simmons in his game last night and his mentality. He did 2 interviews. He did one interview, one with NBA TV, and then he did one for his press conference, the normal post-game press conference. We're going to let you hear from both of them. We're going to let you hear his mindset in his press conference as far as going into this game. And he kind of has a bit of a snark to him, a little snarky attitude. And I get it. A little snarky attitude when it comes to the criticism he received after game one. And then on the NBA TV interview that he did, that we'll let you hear a little bit later in the show, Ben Simmons talks about how the game more or less dictated how he was going to play. And that's what brings me back to the point that I don't think Ben Simmons goes into a game necessarily thinking, oh, you know what, I wasn't that aggressive at attacking the rim in the last game, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now to prove everybody wrong. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think his first priority is to set up his teammates to score, and then if he has opportunities to score in transition like last night, he's going to go ahead and do that, and that's what I saw from Ben Simmons last night. So we're going to let you hear from both of those a little bit later in the program to take you a little behind the scenes, a little in the brain, in the mindset of Ben Simmons. We'll get into that. Joel Embiid did not have a lot going for him early in that game. He came on late. Tobias Harris, same type of thing. We saw him roll his ankle when it looked like he got his foot dragged by Lopez last night. So he played. Everything was fine in that regard. Overall, this was just a dominant performance from the 76ers. It started with Ben Simmons. He was actually the tone center. Joel Embiid obviously helped round that out. Tobias Harris was his normal self. This was a lot more of the normal Tobias Harris that we see. But Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, both with 22 points in the game last night, doing the things that make them pretty good players. And Joel Embiid, here's what was wild with him. Nothing with him seemed forced. A lot of times you feel like with Joe, and this isn't a negative, this isn't a bad thing in terms of forced, in terms of trying to get to the foul line, trying to make things happen from that perspective, trying to get down to the baseline and get fouled on jump shots and whatever. That's usually what we're used to seeing from Joel Embiid. Last night was not that. And I think a lot of that was because, again, it was what the game dictated. That the game was flowing more towards more towards Tobias Harris early. It was flowing more towards Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid just basically provided some great defense. It was interesting to watch Joe kind of step back into that role, and afterwards he talked about that same thing, saying how other guys were getting it going, so he could just go out there and I don't want to say be himself, because we know he could be better than what he was last night, but he just found a role to play more or less last night for the Sixers while Ben Simmons was going off. With the blowout that it was, you always love seeing guys get minutes towards the end of the bench. Tyrese Maxey gets back into the game last night. Second time in two games here. I love rookies getting run. I love Matisse Thybulle getting more run out there on the basketball court. A lot of guys were getting the opportunity to play because the Sixers had that game so far in hand. And even when the Wizards would cut the lead to 5 or 6, it always just felt like it was a push button type of thing where the Sixers could just go, and we're going to change things up right here. And you look at a guy like Maxey again, and in his time, coming off the end of the bench, a rookie gets you double digits in scoring with 10 last night. So I couldn't be more pleased with what I saw from the 76ers. I couldn't be more pleased with the way they took control of this game. And I thought going into this game, the Wizards would put up a little bit of a fight, and then the Sixers would be able to take over. And I told you last night, -8.5, Sixers were favored going into last night's game. Told you to bet that. Hopefully you did, because they got that. I don't see much of a change in anything with the Sixers going into the Wizards for the next 2 games of this series. I will stick with my original prediction, saying that this is going to be a sweep for the Sixers. After game 1, that was my prediction. This is going to be a sweep for the Sixers, because if there was going to be one game that the Sixers were, that the Wizards were going to steal, it was going to be that game 1 where the Sixers were coming off the long layoff, and they had Joel Embiid in foul trouble early. So I am just overall very pleased with what I saw from them 10-9-8 76ers last night. As for the fan, not the fans, but as for the fan, what I'm about to tell you is not an opinion. It's a statement of fact. Any decent human being is not okay with throwing popcorn on anybody else. Let me rephrase that. Any decent human being is not okay with throwing anything at anyone else. I want to believe that it's just a loud minority of people that is like, it's just popcorn. But I guess this is where Twitter kind of lets you know people's true self. I used to work with a guy named Trey Thomas, wonderful gentleman. And Trey introduced this phrase to me: show your ass. You really showed your ass on that one. Meaning you showed your true self, I believe is what that was intended. You show your true self. You show your ass when you see somebody dump popcorn on somebody else, dump anything on anybody else as a sign of blatant disrespect, and you go, it's just popcorn. And then I had people calling me like a sissy for lambasting the fan that did it. Let me tell you what a sissy. Somebody called me soft. Let me tell you what a sissy does. Let me tell you what a soft person does. A soft person allows somebody else to, on purpose, dump something on you out of complete disrespect, and a soft, sissy person goes, ha ha ha, you. That's soft. But somebody that would actually be like, what the hell? Like, what's the matter with you? That person's not soft. That person is trying to earn their own respect and trying to show some self-respect. To dump popcorn or anything on anyone who's not asking for that, who's got popcorn to dump on me? Yeah, guess what? That's not cool. And guess what? What the Knicks fans did has nothing to do with what a Sixers fan did. So don't draw in one comparison to go, oh, at least we didn't do this. We're not making fun of somebody balding. And then there was a video going around, allegedly some Knicks fan was trying to spit on Trae Young. I looked at the video. I don't know if that guy was just spitting on the floor. I don't know. Funny thing was he pulls his mask down. All right, I guess you're not that cautious about it, Knicks fan. But what they did has nothing to do with what happened in Philadelphia. We'll show you the video of that later. I did check out SportsCenter with the SVP just to see if they ran with it early, like the lead story. They didn't. They ran with the Knicks. They ran with the Knicks coming back. Another game I told you to bet. And the Knicks coming back to beat the Hawks. They ran with that, and then they had some baseball stories, and then it was the Sixers game. And then within the Sixers game, the fan was highlighted that dumped the popcorn. So it didn't necessarily run wild. It is the top story on ESPN.com right now, so that's cool. And I really try not to care what other people think. I do care what we think of ourselves. And for the people that did come out and say the same thing that I said last night, which was along the lines of, we don't claim that person as a fan. I do believe there should be a ban. It's hard to ban a fan. Like, how do you ban that guy? Like, how do you ban anybody? And I know this has come up in other sports before, banning somebody from the facility. Somebody else buys a ticket, gives a ticket to that guy. He comes in. How do you do that? Facial recognition? Are you going to go through that kind of trouble? But blatant disrespect is what it is. There's a line you don't cross. You can say what you want. You could do the double barrels like the doctor did a couple of years ago. I was actually at that game, and I was like, that's hilarious. You could do the double barrels. You can say what you want to say. But if you're crossing the line to anything of physical contact, that's just so unbelievably embarrassing and just so unbelievably disrespectful. In no world is that okay to dump anything on another human being. And I can't believe, I thought the dumb conversation we were going to have was going to be after game one when we were debating whether or not Ben Simmons was a good basketball player or not. This is so much dumber to debate whether or not it's okay to throw anything on another human being. Unbelievably despicable. We'll have a little bit more on that a little bit later in the show. Marcus Hayes is our guest today, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. When you're waking up this morning, though, and you're turning on the show, first off, thanks for joining us. Just be glad you're not Andrew Knapp. If you were watching the Sixers last night, like the vast majority of us, and you weren't watching the Phillies fall apart, just be glad you're not Andrew Knapp, who took a bunt foul ball off the Nads in last night's ball game. If you missed that, just want to let you know that happened. So thoughts and prayers to his fellas. But Phillies fell apart late last night, and they lost to the Marlins. So that little moment I was rooting for yesterday. All right, here we go. So I told you we all wanted to see the aggressive Ben Simmons. We got that. I told you on another thing that, hey, maybe the Phillies cracked the code. Maybe Rhys Hoskins hitting that 2-run home run off Sandy Alcantara. Maybe that was them turning the corner, cracking the code, figuring out the Marlins. Not so much, because they fell apart last night. They lost to the Marlins. A couple questionable calls, but even more so questionable. I mean, they had multiple instances last night where they had 2 strikes with 2 outs, and they just couldn't find their way out of it. It would have been a full count situation before when the Phillies were up 4-1, or excuse me, 2-1 in the 8th inning, I believe it was. They had a 3-1 count, and a strike was called a ball. Batter ended up walking. I think he ended up getting runners at the corners in that situation. Still 2-1, and then the Marlins just got some dink and dunk hits, and that was all she wrote. The Phillies, once again, couldn't keep it together late in the game against the Marlins. So good times. Phillies now, I was hoping they would at least win 2 of 3 going into Game 4. They didn't do that. Now they have an opportunity to hopefully at least split the series today. In a game that, by the way, for the people watching the show right now on YouTube, keep it right here on YouTube. Not on NBC Sports Philadelphia, not on ESPN, not on MLB.com, no, MLB.com, not on MLB Network, on YouTube. That game will be. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more Phillies a little bit later in the program in our morning rush. We got all the opinions, including some people that hit me up on social media last night. Just so you know, I'm not making it up. Some people defending what happened last night at the Sixers game. But all that, again, I led the show, even though the number one thing on my mind was popcorn. I led the show with about a good 13 minutes there talking just about Ben Simmons and the 76ers, and now I think they're going to sweep this series. But just know the number one thing on my mind was I have to actually tell people it's not okay to throw things on other humans. Damn. Without further ado, we're going to get to our friend Marcus Hayes, Inquirer.com, talk some 76ers. We'll talk about Joel Embiid and the pelvic thrusts and where he got that from, which I think is where most people thought he got that from. It's the old wrestling thing for the people that didn't know. But Joel Embiid talked about that postgame, saying how it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels really inspiring that move. And if you remember, Triple H actually was campaigning for Joel Embiid to get the Rookie of the Year award in this season. He only played 28 games. So Triple H was trying to help him out a little bit. So maybe we'll have Triple H ring the bell one of these nights. By the way, Pat Croce, I thought was going to put another crack in the Liberty Bell. Holy pots and pans. He was going after that thing. We're going to get to Marcus Hayes in just 1 second, but right now I want to tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Do what I do. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers. Here at the Steven Singer studio, we like to tell everyone to go to Steven Singer. And why is that? Because every day, you get the perfect price. You don't have to worry about, hey, when's that sale happening? No. Everything's already set at the perfect price. So you go in, you get the sale more or less every single day. Because Steven doesn't want you to walk in there thinking you have to negotiate. He wants you walking in there just concentrating on what you want to buy. That special jewelry for that special someone, that beautiful diamond for that special someone at Steven Singer Jewelers. A real jewelry expert will walk you through everything, and you can feel comfortable, you can be calm, and you can just look at all the inventory as they'll walk you through everything. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com to check out what they have. Go to the other corner of 8th and Walnut and see for yourself in person why I trust Steven Singer with all my major jewelry purchases. I send my family there. I send my friends there. I go there whenever it's time to buy some jewelry. Wife and I have an anniversary coming up, as a matter of fact. So I'll be at Steven Singer probably next week, as a matter of fact. So do what I do. Go to IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, the perfect price every single time. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, or at IHateStevenSinger.com. All right, joining us now on the Zatos Investments guest line, let's talk to my good friend making his second appearance on the show. If you remember, Marcus joined us from his daughter's soccer practice as he was playing chauffeur that night. So he joined us from his car. We had a little bit of an audio issue here, so hopefully it's not too distracting for you. I know our producer, Jim Hyden, did a good job to try to clean up my own mistake. So, Jim, I appreciate that. Without further ado, let's talk to our friend Marcus Hayes. And joining us now on the Zatos Investments guest line from Inquirer.com, Marcus Hayes joins us. What's going on, Marcus?
I'm all jazzed up after this big Sixers win, man.
I mean, how could you not be? Let me just ask this out of the gate. Little side question here. Did you like wrestling? Are you a WWE guy, WWF, Hulk Hogan, those guys?
I don't dislike it, but I never understood the allure. Like, it's like watching dance. You're watching a performance.
Right.
And, yeah, these guys are remarkably athletic in their performance, but it's all contrived, and it's bad performance. It's like horrible, shtick. But no, I don't like it, but I understand it.
I had a 3-month, maybe a 6-month run when it was The Rock versus Triple H, but I bring it up. Only because, man, yeah, exactly, yeah. And man, back when The Rock was The Rock and not the highest paid actor in Hollywood. But anyway,
ever, right?
I only bring it up because after the game, Joel Embiid said that he loves Triple H and he loves Shawn Michaels, and that's why he does the little pelvic thrust on the court. At least I know when I see Joel Embiid doing that, he's feeling it and he's feeling the groove, and that's what it looked like last night.
Yeah, he's he's really remarkable. I'm so happy for him. I don't know if you know this, but back when Andy Reid first joined the Kansas City Chiefs, they sent me on assignment to do an Andy Reid story. I think the Chiefs started out real good. They were like 7 wins in a row or something like that to start the season. So after the 6th win, they say, "Hey, why don't you go out there?" And I was like, "Great! I know everybody on the staff. Andy and I are cool." So I went out there, And I was on the plane, and I called my boss. I was like, listen, give me a credential for Kansas Wichita, or it was like Kansas Wichita or Kansas. I don't know. It was Kansas versus somebody who wasn't very good.
Okay.
Game, because it's about an hour from KC to Lawrence, right? So we were, this was in the middle of the process. And there was this kid named Andrew Wiggins, who everybody was saying was the next LeBron James. Had he been able to come out in high school, he'd have been the number 1 overall pick. And he was playing with Kansas. So I got there, and about midway through like the first half, this really big, kind of awkward guy comes off the bench with a name I couldn't pronounce. And it was apparent that this guy was something special. And I looked it up, and it's, he's from Cameroon. He's never really played basketball. And Bill Self's a wonderful coach. So I figured 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to be knowing this guy. Well, by the end of the game, I was like, how is this guy not starting? And I asked the starting center that, and he was like, I agree. He's way better than I am. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so, like, fast forward 2 years, they draft Joel Embiid, and, he's been hurt twice, and he literally can't get from one side of the rim. I'm at practice, at Sixers practice, and Brett Brown is talking, and I have my back turned because, Brett Brown was talking, and I was watching, the guys kind of do their individual work. And Joel Embiid is trying to get from the right side of the basket to the left side of the basket, undefended. He can't do it without traveling. That's how far Joel Embiid has come in 5 seasons.
Wow.
Undefended. Like, so the assistant coach, like they always have like a big guy assistant coach, player development coach. He's showing him what to do, but Joel cannot do it undefended. Much less, they started doing it one-on-one, and then the guy backed off. He's like, no, do it this way. Wow. But it's the amount of talent he has, the amount of work he's put in, and the degree with which he learns is it's really remarkable. So I really revel in Joel Embiid's successes.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that you were at that game watching Joel Embiid before he was anybody. That's incredible. How much do you think? Yeah, how much do you think Doc Rivers pulled that potential out of him?
I think Doc Rivers is, if he's not the best coach in the NBA, like maybe Popovich is, or Spoelstra, or Thibodeau. I think it's the kid. I think him becoming a father got him off social media, made him focus, made him understand that there's something in the world bigger than him. And Joel Embiid's a kind person. He's a good person, but the self-promotion and the demeaning of other people, that made him less than who he really is. But when you become a father, as you know, you become the least important person in the world, because that other person is the most important thing in the world. And that doesn't happen with everybody, but I think it happened with Joel, and I think it happened with Bryce Harper too. Bryce Harper is a much different person in Philadelphia than he was in Washington.
Yeah, that is interesting. You put it like that. It's like you become the least important person because the top 99 spots are occupied all by your kid.
Right.
Like, that's kind of how it works. To talk about somebody else here, Ben Simmons came out, and I'm not over the moon like other people are about this game, because I kind of knew Ben could do all this stuff. I want to see him and all this stuff. Every shot was within 7 feet, and I'm not raining on that parade. I'm just saying there's more to be proven with Ben Simmons so far. What would you like to see with him going forward in the playoffs?
There really isn't anything more to be proven. Ben Simmons kind of is what he is, and that's not a bad thing. He's not a bad player. He's not a hindrance. But my confusion with Ben Simmons is his reluctance to be this Ben Simmons every night. That's what alphas do. That's what, max players do. You can say what you like about the Tobias Harris versus Jimmy Butler debate. There were nights Jimmy Butler wasn't Jimmy Butler. There has never been one night Tobias Harris wasn't 100% Tobias Harris. Ever. Now, I have not seen him tank one game. I've seen him take not little injuries, but little incidents that happen on the court and kind of check out for a minute or something like that. But, Jimmy Butler will check out for 2 weeks, and Ben will check out for 3 games. He just won't be the Ben he can be. And it'd be a wonderful psychological study. So when you say, it's what I don't know that there's a lot more potential with Ben than what we've seen, and that's not a knock. Dennis Rodman's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Speaking with Marcus Hayes, Inquirer.com. You can check out the stuff, obviously, right there at Inquirer.com. And I always mess that up. You can also be followed at Ink-Stained Dretch.
No. Ink-Stained Wretch with no
Wretch.
W.
Wretch.
Because in my life, there ain't no W's. No. the Ink-Stained Wretch with W, that Twitter handle was taken. It's a play on what baseball writers like to consider themselves, especially baseball writers, but all journalists like think we're like ink-stained wretches transcribing, the Bible in a monastery somewhere in dim light with hunched backs,
I'll get it eventually. I'm such an idiot. Marcus, I want to move on to this, but staying with the Sixers though. What are you making of the deep benches? I mean, it seemed like the first time around it was because of foul trouble. This time around it was because of blowout in the fourth quarter. How much of this do you think we'll continue to see?
You asked about the defense?
The deep bench, sorry.
Oh, the deep bench. Yeah, that's kind of a mirage. I mean, when they start playing actual basketball teams that don't rely on Davis Bertans for 12 points a night, I don't know that you're going to see a whole lot of, Shake, even Tyrese Maxey. I mean, those are the George Hill minutes. The most intriguing bench player for me is Matisse Thybulle. I think he's an elite I think he's a better defender than Ben Simmons, and I think he's a difference maker defender who doesn't quail in the moment. That's the guy that I want to see more of. But yeah, you're getting experience for Shake Milton. You're getting experience for Tyrese Maxey, and but I think you're going to have a much tighter rotation going forward. Maybe 9 guys, depending on whether they need Furkan or not, and more likely 8 with George Hill and Dwight Howard, and for my money, Matisse Thybulle.
Mm-hmm. Finally, the series goes back to Washington. Not back to the series now goes to Washington. Do you see any difference in the Sixers being on the road?
There was a huge discrepancy last year. I don't think it exists as much this year. There was a huge discrepancy last year in Tobias Harris shooting on the road and at home. What's remarkable is Tobias Harris is averaging 1/1000th of a percentage, or I guess 1/1000th of a point per minute more than Joel Embiid, and he's shooting 57%. There was a huge disparity last year with Tobias Harris home and road splits. So as they go to Washington, that's the thing I would look for. Is Tobias Harris going to be just as effective on the road, under pressure, in the playoffs, now being sort of seen as the guy that they need to stop, obviously. And that'll kind of be the tail of the next 2 games, assuming Russell Westbrook is healthy. I mean, he left the game today, looked like he had an Achilles issue, then he turned his ankle, then he got popcorn dumped on him. So as long as he's not allergic to salt and butter, and his feet are okay, that we'll have a conversation. Otherwise, it's probably over.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I got 2 questions left for you. As far as that went, and I hate even drawing attention to it, but I mean, it happened. I try not to let what other people think bother me, but that just is a black eye for the rest of Philadelphia when you see somebody dump food on an opposing player as they're walking out with an injury.
Well, yes. I've been writing this story. I've been here since 1995, and I think it was 1997, maybe 1998 when Michael Irvin was injured, had the neck injury at the vet, and people will try to recreate history. But what happened that day, I witnessed people cheering the ambulance, knowing that Michael Irvin might be, in the one of the worst situations he could possibly be. So I've been writing this story for more than 20 years. If you're Philadelphia and you want people to not think you're horrible fans, don't do horrible things.
Good enough for me.
Popcorn being dumped on you isn't a horrible thing, but
right?
It's a totally classless thing.
Yeah, it's flat out disrespectful. I had people reaching out to me being like, it's just popcorn, relax. And I'm like, wow, a total stranger just throws popcorn on you. And you're like, hey, cool, buddy. Like, I don't think that's how it goes down.
No.
Last thing for you. I was reading your article that came out the other day on Inquirer.com regarding some teams that would pose a threat to the Sixers making it out of the second round of the playoffs. That's right. I'm even looking past where they are right now. Has what they've done in the first two games of this series comforted you at all for them possibly making it to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah, I mean, they're playing a level of cohesive defense through as you mentioned, through their first 10 or 11 guys. That's just, it's got to make all the teams shudder. The Knicks would not be able to withstand this. Maybe the Hawks, because the Hawks are so deep, but I mean, it's really kind of fun to watch. I'm kind of a defensive nerd, so I'm watching. Like, I called defensive 3 seconds tonight on Dwight Howard before the ref did. I was like, defensive 3 seconds, it's obvious. So yeah, it's really kind of second level how synergistic their defense is, and it really doesn't matter what the personnel is. As you mentioned, there were a lot of different mixes in there tonight. And they all played very, very well together against a Washington team that's a good offensive Washington team through their first 9 players. David Bertans had 0 points tonight and 6 fouls. That starts on the Sixers' defense. He gets frustrated offensively because he can't score offensively. So, yeah, they if they continue to defend this way, and again, this is still a young team, and this is its first year together with a new coach. We don't know that this is the norm, but if this is the norm, look out, Utah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would hope so. So with that being said, do you see this team making it to the finals if you had to guess right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that even this level of defense beats the Nets, but this level of defense might beat the Bucks, because I think the Bucks are the most balanced team. I think they're the team with the best system and the most mature players in the most consistent roles. But great defense can upset that. Great defense cannot stop 3 guys who can score 50 any night. So if the Nets' big 3 are making their shots, they could win in 4. It's just that simple. The Sixers have 0 people, including Joel Embiid, who can score like those 3 guys.
Right.
From that many, from all over, and they're fresh. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they could make it to the finals, but it would depend on the sort of the whim of how efficient offensively the Nets are.
All right. Marcus Hayes, Inquirer.com. What we've learned is you're feeling a little bit better about the Sixers. You have a great Joel Embiid story in your back pocket, and you were not a wrestling fan. So that's what we have covered so far today.
All right. That's pretty much who I am.
in a nutshell. Marcus Hayes, Inquirer.com. Make sure you check him out, obviously, on social media, and follow him at Ink Stained Wretch.
With no W's.
With no W's. Don't you dare sneak a W in there. Marcus Hayes, thank you for joining us on the Zatos Investments guest line.
My pleasure.
My man. My thanks once again to Marcus Hayes joining us there on the Zatos Investments guest line. No, he is not an alien. That was just an issue I had audio-wise, and Jim Hyden, our producer extraordinaire, did a fine job cleaning that up as best as he could, because I'm a big fat idiot. But how about Marcus wrote an article 3 days ago about the Hawks might pose a threat to the Sixers if they face them in the second round. The Knicks could also do that because there's just that team of destiny. And the Sixers obviously aren't guaranteed anything to make it to an Eastern Conference Finals. But as I said, for me, going into this playoff series, or going into the playoffs, I should say, I was all about the Eastern Conference Finals. If they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, this year was a complete failure. Of course, I'm rooting for them to win a championship. I just don't see that part happening, but it's possible. And as I've said many times, the Nets don't want this smoke when it comes to how well the defense, the Sixers can play defensively. So once again, my thanks to Marcus Hayes joining us there on the Zatos Investments guest line. Got plenty of stuff I want to be able to get to you fine people when it comes to all that took place last night. We're going to let you hear from Ben Simmons. We're going to let you hear from Russell Westbrook himself. We do have a poll up right now brought to you by our friends at Stake and Main at stakeandmain.com. And that is a very simple question. Was it wrong to throw popcorn on Russell Westbrook last night. Here are your options. Yes or yes. And it's all capitals in the second one there. So those are your options. So we'll check that out in just a second when we do our social media check-in. Right now, let me tell you about Hers. And you know what? If you watch or listen to this show, then you know the first thing that popped through my mind after, what the hell, man? After the popcorn got dumped, it was, that better not be fiery hot, fire-roasted sweet corn from Hers. Because nobody dumps that on the floor, because that is delicious. That's a waste. That's the first thought I had. And I know some people were hitting us up in the comment section about that. You know what? Because fiery hot, fire roasted sweet corn from Hers is just absolutely delectable. It is delicious. I love it. Some people reaching out to me that they've gone out and they bought it, and they have, guess what? They told me I didn't oversell it. It was right on the money with how good this stuff is. If you've had the delicious fire roasted sweet corn before from Hers, then you should know, if you've been to any barbecue, it tastes just like that delicious the grilled corn, right? This has a to it. That's why it's the fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Hers. Absolutely delicious, savory, buttery taste with a little bit of spice right at the end there to heat things up a little bit. You got to try this. It's great for the beach. It's great for the barbecue. It's great for sitting on the sofa and just enjoying a game. That's how I like to enjoy it. Fiery hot fire roasted sweet corn from Hers. Simply delicious. Also, check out our friends over there at phlsportsnation.com. That's phlsportsnation.com. It stands for Philadelphia Sports Nation. They're a site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. phlsportsnation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. Guess what? Wife and I are going down to Annapolis, a little getaway, a little weekend getaway for our anniversary coming up in a couple weeks. And you know where I'm going to be stopping on my way down there? Well, I'm going to be stopping at Steak and Maine, heart of Northeast Maryland. I'm going to see my man Tony Cavada. My wife and I are going to have a nice little lunch before we head on down to Annapolis and enjoy a nice vacation, a little getaway, if you will. So I'm looking forward to that, and you should too. Not come with me for my anniversary, but go to Steak and Maine, at least, in the heart of Northeast Maryland. SteakandMaine.com. Delicious, succulent lobster. Mouth-watering steak. Oh, my God. The steak at this place. The Travel Channel and the Food Channel say #1 place for steaks in America. All right? That's how good this place is. Steak and Maine, SteakandMaine.com. Make sure you check them out. Tony Cavada with the amazing wine list that they have as well. Cavada Cellars Wines. Tomorrow, we are going to air our Farzy in the Field, and Tony Cavada makes an appearance with his, wait for it, wine gun. Yeah. You'll see that tomorrow. So Steak and Maine and SteakandMaine.com. Make sure you check them out. How about our friends over there at FanUp? Hopefully you're getting in on all the action during the playoffs with FanUp and all that's going on right there. Download the FanUp app in the App Store. Use promo code FanUp. That's promo code FanUp. Get 2,000 bonus points. That's right out of the gate for FanUp. You can rise on the leaderboard with those points. You could challenge your friends. You can make some challenges. It's a great time. You can talk trash on it. The days of playing fantasy sports alone are over. So make sure you download the app. And FanUp is the only place where you can get amazing brand prizes. They just gave away a $200 gift card from Nike. They gave away a Peloton bike a couple of weeks ago. They gave away some memorabilia. FanUp, you can win so much there on FanUp. The super fun daily and weekly contests are always a blast. You can answer fun questions as well and rise on their leaderboard. So make sure you hit them up at FanUp. May the best fan win. And also Zatos Investments. I was just looking at some of their properties yesterday on their Instagram account, Zatos Investments. Zatos Investments is an up-and-coming luxury real estate development company in the Philadelphia area. They design and develop top-of-the-line custom homes all around the city, ranging from small single-family rehabs to ground-up new construction townhomes and condo buildings. Zatos works closely with their private investor base to make sure they get substantial returns on their investments, ranging from 20 to 40%. These guys are crushing the Philadelphia real estate game right now. To see some of their properties and learn how you as well could invest with Zatos, reach out to them at info@zatosinvestments.com or simply visit zatosinvestments.com. All right, without further ado, let's see what you find people are saying here on our on our comment section here, brought to you by Steak and Maine and SteakandMaine.com, our social media check-in. Marc, have us surprise your wife at lunch. That's from Craig. How great would that be if I just have all you commenters just at one long table, and my wife and I are in the middle, like it was almost like the Last Supper, and she's like, "Who are these people?" And I'm like, "They're friends." That she would love that. She's a people person. You'd love to meet Toots. She'd love to meet everybody. I'll tell you that right now. Oh wait, Natalie gave me a shout out on FanUp yesterday. Oh, now I feel like a jerk. I missed that. Thank you, Dan, for letting me know. My good friend Natalie Eganoff, by the way, congrats. She's going out on her own, doing her own thing. Happy for her. Yeah, well, we'll get her on the show at some point. Wait, is Craig saying I'm not fat? I tend to be fat. And if I am, I am. It is what it is. I'm definitely fat-minded. Anyway, I don't think that was directed at me. Mally's checking in saying, good morning, everybody. I like that Mally says good morning to me and everybody in the chat. What up, fam? What's up, guys? Dan Schwartz, hello again. Tim, what a win. Damn right. Take that, Wes Hall. Ooh. Tim Marsh checking in saying Wes Hall. Man, he wants a little piece of Wes Hall, who joined us yesterday, who said it was going to be a close series. It's 2-0 right now. And the Sixers actually got a blowout. Philly's always good to ruin a thing. Dan, you're correct on that. Mike's checking in saying Aaron Nola, rest in peace. We had high hopes. Last night, I didn't even look at the box score from last night. I was just looking over at the extended highlights. I thought Nola actually pitched well. I thought it was like 6 innings in 1 run, was it last night? In the 4-2 loss with the Phillies collapsing late. I will pull that up for you fine people right now. Yeah, he allowed 2 hits. He walked 3. But 2 hits, 3 walks, 1 run. It was earned over 6 innings of work. Yeah, you should be able to win with that. And unfortunately, the Phillies were not. It was Coonrod. It was Coonrod, Hugh Douglas's favorite name in Major League Baseball, that coughed up that win, unfortunately. So that's how that took place. Once again, I'll say it, just while I'm on the subject of the Phillies. Odubel Herrera has just proven me wrong. And this was before anything off the field, as I've stressed to you guys many times. I just thought he had the lowest baseball IQ of anyone I'd seen really since like Ben Revere, okay? And sure enough, he's going out there, made a phenomenal play in center field last night. I wish it actually would have mattered more to the Phillies. He's been hitting the cover off the ball at the plate. So congratulations to Odubel Herrera, the Phillies center fielder, for putting together a great couple of weeks for this ball club. I still feel like he is going to crash and burn at some point this season. I'm certainly not rooting for that. I am doing what I normally do when I make a prediction that's negative, which is I root to be wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm just hoping that he keeps up something close to the level that he's playing at right now. A lot of love here from Mike Casey when it comes to Matisse Thybulle, and well-deserved. Matisse Thybulle, I don't think he's a better pound for pound. I'll say he's a better defender than Ben Simmons. But when it comes to just overall, yeah, I'll take Ben to shut down the opposing team's best player before I take Matisse Thybulle. But I don't think Marcus is necessarily far off. And if I'm not mistaken, Matisse Thybulle actually got a vote or 2 for Defensive Player of the Year. So I love those people. James checking in. Cesar Hernandez's name is popping up. Why is that happening? I'm just going to move on past that and just thank everybody who checked in on our social media check-in through the show today. Oh, wait. Another good review for Fiery Hot Fire Roasted Sweet Corn from Hers. So way to be, people. It's much appreciated. Oh, James. James, I don't know if you want me to say this on air or on the show, so I won't, but I'll just say Steven Singer is great. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Thank you, everybody. Checked in. Matt's checking in, saying, what's up? What's going on there, Matt? Always a pleasure. Yeah. All right. Yep. Thank you, everyone who checked in our social media check-in. And here on our YouTube page in our comment section, it is much appreciated. That was brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. So far, the answer on our social media poll is yes, it was wrong to throw popcorn on Russell Westbrook. Thank you for everyone who chimed in there. Moving on now to our Morning Rush. A lot to get to here. First off, Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Here is the incident in slow motion. They did capture the person who put popcorn on Russell Westbrook, and here it is in slow-mo. You can check this out right there. You'll see this happening in slow-mo, middle of your screen. There it is. That's like $75 worth of popcorn, first and foremost. So that's just dumb. And that landed right on Russell Westbrook as he was walking up the tunnel with an ankle injury. All right. So that's not good. Here's Russell Westbrook reacting to what took place here in Philadelphia.
Unfortunately, I was leaving out, and then I just felt popcorn on top of my head, and to be blatantly honest, man, this is getting out of hand, especially for me. Just the amount of disrespect, the amount of just fans just doing whatever they want to do. It's out of pocket, man. It's out of pocket, seriously. Like, any other setting, I'm all for the fans enjoying the game and having fun, and it's part of sports. I get it, but there's certain things that cross the line, and any other setting, I know for a fact that fans and they wouldn't come up, and a guy wouldn't come on the street and pour popcorn on my head because he know what happened.
Yeah, I would say that crossed the line. As I said earlier, you want to do double barrels, right? You want to yell things at somebody. That's all part of it. That's all fine. But if you're going to throw something on somebody else, that's just Bush League. Wildly disrespectful and embarrassing. It embarrasses a fan base. It embarrasses all of us. There's no room for that. I agree 100% with Russell Westbrook. I can't believe I have to take a stand and tell people this. People like this fella who hit me up last night. John, what's up, John? Marc, it's just popcorn. Let the soft pundits whine about it. Meanwhile, the Knicks were heckling Trae Young for balding. Yeah, heckling. And the soft pundits, let them whine. I can't stress enough. Soft to me is if somebody walks up to you and throws popcorn in your face, and they do it because they're blatantly trying to be disrespectful, and you're like, ha ha, good one. That's a good one. You, way to be, you, ha ha. Like, that's soft. You should have an issue with somebody doing anything physical to you. Somebody saying something, I'm a sticks and stones guy. Sticks and stones break my bones, whatever. Words will never hurt me. That's how I kind of operate. But the minute somebody gets in my face, violates physical, what do you call it, the personal space, yeah, okay, then we're talking about something different. And this is an example of that, definitely over the line. And there's really, I can't believe there's even another way to look at it. So anyway, that's the Russell Westbrook situation last night. The Wells Fargo Center did put out a statement. I wanted to make sure I showed that to you guys here. Coming from the president of business operations for the Wells Fargo Center. This was classless, unacceptable behavior, and we're not going to tolerate it at the Wells Fargo Center. We're proud to have the most passionate fans in the country and the best home court and home ice advantage around, but this type of behavior has no place in our arena. I did see a clip of the fan being escorted out by security, so that happened. And I do want to say, the people that was calling Russell Westbrook a hothead for acting like he was going to go up in the stands and fight the fan, like, I don't know how you react in the heat of the moment of anything like that. And this is already a guy who's been to Philadelphia and gotten the double barrels by a fan and could not have reacted better to it. I mean, the shot of him going, what? Like, looking at the fan is classic. That's hilarious. I was laughing when I was at the game and I saw it happen right in front of me. But right now, it's a little bit of a different ball game. Quite literally. So, yeah, I don't fault Westbrook for saying anything he says post-game. Let's get back to basketball, shall we? And let's lighten the mood a little bit with this. This is what you want to see every single Sixers game. You want to see the pelvic thrusts. You want to see that little motion right there. Bring it back. Yeah, that's what you want to see every single time from Joel Embiid, because that's how you know our big man is feeling it on any given night. And you saw that earlier in the game, and you knew, Sixers got this. Come on. After this, forget about it. So that was great to see from Joel Embiid en route to 22 points for him. That was great. Not so great when you talk about betting the over the 32.5 points, but we'll get to that later. That's what you want to see from JoJo. He attributed that to Triple H and Shawn Michaels. If you're wrestling people, excuse me, then obviously you get that. They were popular during the 6 months I was into wrestling. So, yeah, I got that. And, look, you couldn't walk into high school at that time period and not have your friends that were all into crazily into wrestling. You couldn't walk in and not have your friends just be yelling that in school. So, yeah, I think most people got that reference. Also, this is what I was referencing earlier with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons was talking about his mindset and his mentality going into last night's game. And after the game on NBA TV, one of the hosts asked Ben Simmons about his mindset. And can we see this more aggressive version of you offensively attacking the rim more often? And here's how Ben Simmons addressed that question.
I think you have a great point. I think I got to keep doing that and continue to do that. Game one, I was able to get my teammates a lot of shots. Tobias Harris was killing. Joel was killing. Obviously tonight, Joel had a lot more attention. Tobias had a lot more attention on them. So I saw a lot more opportunities for me to score.
If you listen to that, the first thing he goes into there is game one, he had opportunities to set up his teammates. That's what makes me think that that's all he wants to do every single night. I think most people would agree with that. If you've watched Ben Simmons play throughout his career, number one priority, setting up teammates. But if he's got lanes, if he's got transitional opportunities to score points, though, he's going to take advantage of those transitional opportunities, and that's what he did in last night's ballgame. And you love to see it. And I know a lot of people will look at it and go, I told you Ben Simmons is a great basketball player. I told you. Look, and here's where I don't want to go into the negative avenue. But it's not even negative if you consider that that Ben Simmons can do this on a lot of different nights. I'm not looking at last night's game and spiking the football about Ben Simmons. Oh, 22 points, Ben Simmons, I told you. No, if you watch Ben Simmons, you know that he's capable of this. You know that he can do this. If there are opportunities to score in transition, if you get into a half-court set, and other people are penetrating the lane, and he's on a block, you can loft it up to him, and he can throw it down on an alley-oop, or he can clean up somebody else's garbage and turn it into gold. Zoo, what's up? He can do that a lot. But if those opportunities aren't there, he is going to just simply facilitate. 15 rebounds, 15 assists. That's great. I can look at Ben Simmons and watch that game last night and go, that's great. Good to see. But I'm not wildly impressed with that from last night. I have seen that. If you've seen it before, how are you wildly impressed with it again? You know what would impress me? Foul shots. If he went to the line, if he was fouled, got N1 opportunities, and was 4 for 5 from the line, whatever, that's great. That's ultimately what I want to see from Ben, because that will be a lot more consistent. Because eventually, teams are going to start to foul him. You're going to face better teams, better coaches in the playoffs. That if Ben Simmons is going off in the first half, guess what? He's not shooting 15 shots and not making all within 7 feet of the rim, mind you. A lot of them dribble, drive, penetration, and you're not fouling him and sending him to the line. That's just dumb basketball, first and foremost. But as the games go on, as the series go on, as the playoffs goes on, you're going to face better teams. You're going to face smarter teams. You're going to face smarter head coaches. They're just going to say, oh, if you see him driving, yeah, foul his ass. Send him to the line. But I would love to see that part of Ben's game really start to grow. Foul shooting. The 6 points in game one didn't bother me. 0 for 6 bothered me from the foul line. But it was definitely overshadowed by the fact that Tobias Harris played great. Joel Embiid closed the game out great. And by the way, Ben Simmons still had a great game, even though he was 0 for 6 from the foul line. See if I have this ready for you. This is Ben on the shift in my... Ben says, by the way, that he doesn't read the tweets. He doesn't read social media anymore. If this is Maury Povich, and the lie detector determined that was a lie. Here's Ben, courtesy of John Clark, posting this on his Instagram feed. Ben Simmons on game one versus game two in the mentality.
It's pretty hard to get 15 assists and 15 rebounds in the NBA in the playoffs. I thought that's pretty impressive. And we won. So, I mean, what y'all want? You want to win, or I don't know. For me, I'm here to win, and I'm doing what I need to do to help my team win, wherever it is. Yeah, I'm going to do that every night. So, I mean, I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong or anything like that. I'm going out there to try to do my job and win. I want a championship.
Like that. That's exactly what you want a player to say. Makes me love him even more. So that was Ben and his mindset on that. Taking a glance at our Twitter, our comment section one more time. First off, James, you say your girlfriend has no idea about the secret life of yours from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm glad you could cheat on your girlfriend with all of us. But seriously, though, congratulations and good luck to you. Mac wants to know if I ever get heckled for my balding state. I'm not balding. It's over. I fought the good fight. For a while. But then it was just like, nope. Bzz, and just shaved it. And all the young guys out there, all the young fellas, let me tell you something. If you're struggling with that moment of like whether or not to just let go, just let go. Just let go. Just let go. If you're wearing a hat all the time, just let go. That's it. My daughter's really into Frozen. Maybe that's where I'm getting that from. But I'm just telling you right now, just quit fighting the good fight. So Ben Simmons in that mentality, you love to hear it. You love to see it. And that's certainly what it seemed like last night throughout the game, which was seeing a guy go from facilitator to a guy that was scoring, a guy that was attacking the rim, and the guy that was just being really just all over the floor last night. That's the version of Ben Simmons that I know a lot of people can get behind because they're seeing the most obvious thing in basketball. They're seeing points. It's difficult sometimes for the casuals to see when Ben Simmons is switching off on a Bradley Beal or switching off on a Russell Westbrook if they get things going, and he's there to shut them down defensively speaking. Also, anybody can get rebounds. Not really. You got to hustle a little bit if you want some rebounds. Anybody can get assists. It depends on the other player and what they're doing. Not really if you're putting them in a great spot thanks to your dribble drive, thanks to your penetration, thanks to you having defenders collapse on you, and you can kick out to a Tobias Harris or to a Seth Curry. Or to a Danny Green to knock down shots. And how about Matisse Thybulle knocking down a 3 last night? This team just looks like they're poised for a sweep to move on to the second round of the playoffs, especially if you have an injury issue now with Russell Westbrook, if you have an injury issue with Bradley Beal. This team just looks like they are ready to roll through the playoffs. Let's see what else we have. All right, that's our morning. Oh, the Knicks, by the way, came back. We'll get to that in our big bets. Knicks, by the way, came back to beat the Hawks last night, so that series even at a game apiece. Let's move on to our big bet segment brought to you by DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Make sure you do what I do and bet with DraftKings. Here's what I did last night. I went into it, and I told you on yesterday's show, I like the Sixers with the -8.5, and I like the Knicks at -2. They were -2.5 going into the game. I told you I like both those bets. I bet both those bets. I hit on both those bets. The one loss I took last night, and I don't know why I did this, but I was looking at Ben Simmons, and he was he was minus, what was he at? His over-under was 12.5, I believe it was on DraftKings at the time I looked at it. 12.5 points for Ben Simmons, over-under. I looked at it, and I went, I don't think he really gives a damn. Like, I thought last night would be the game Joel Embiid took over, simply because knowing Joel, it's like later in the game, if he only comes on late, he feels like maybe he didn't play a full game. And it turns out that wasn't the case at all. It was Ben Simmons' show from jump last night. So Ben took over, and Joel just kind of played great throughout the game, played solid basketball throughout the game, hit a couple of threes for you. The 3 he hit to go up 20, I believe it was in the third quarter, where he turned and the camera got that great shot of him just like kind of screaming at the crowd, egging him on, man. That was awesome. But overall, it was Ben Simmons' game. Tobias Harris still played well, 19 points, good for him. But I didn't bet the over. I should have bet the over. I did not. Instead, I bet the over to Joel Embiid, 32.5. I took the loss on that, but overall won my 2 bets last night. So, guess who's, like I said, going to Annapolis for a little the weekend getaway for his wedding anniversary? This guy. As far as bets go tonight, make sure you keep an eye on DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook. I like to wait until tip-off to give you an official one, but I kind of like the Sixers sweeping. I'll tell you that much. And we'll follow the rest of this stuff for you guys tomorrow. But make sure you do. When you bet with DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Thanks for hanging with us, everybody. Much appreciated. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow, as per usual. We'll have our Farzy in the field for you on a fine Friday edition of the Farzy Show. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you click subscribe on our YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Be back with you guys tomorrow here from the Steven Singer Studios. Have a great day.